There we go. Okay, so we're officially recording. Okay, so with an impressive 46 goals in 144 appearances for the club, please everybody welcome Kevin Gallacher. Kevin, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you guys got in touch, and it's nice to have a chat. We've been doing a lot of it because it's big celebrations at the moment, isn't it? And 14th of May brings back some great memories.
I can imagine so, and I can see your background on Zoom there certainly seems to suggest that.
Well, I thought I'd try something different, and this is what I try to do, but I'm a little bit if I take my top down, I go like a ghost, so I kind of go missing a little bit, so I'll just keep the top zipped up so you can see it a little bit better.
Oh yeah, no, that's no problem. It's great to be reminded of that memory no matter what, even if the ghost of Kevin Gallacher is appearing in front of it. So I just wanted to start off this interview actually by saying that I actually grew up in Preston myself. So Preston were always my kind of biggest rivals and the team that I wanted to beat more than Burnley and everything for the other fans. So I've got to say my favourite goal of yours ever was at Ewood Park in the Carling Cup against Preston. It hit that shot and it just flew and it just curled out of nowhere right into the corner of the net. So I just absolutely just amazing, and I still remember just seeing it from the Blackburn end so clearly. So with that in mind, I wondered if you had a favourite goal that you scored at Ewood.
Loads of goals. Favourites at Ewood. I remember that one as plain as day as well, Stephen, what you brought up, because I remember I was on the bench that game, and I remember speaking to the manager and saying to him, "Look, any chance of getting on?" I says, I'm going to score. And we got a free kick just in front of the dugout. And he says, right, there's your opportunity, go on. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jason Wilcox, and I was screaming at him, take it, go, quick, short one. And he just tapped it to me. And I think I took about 3 touches and then just hit it. And I think it was Tepe Moylan, and it was in goals for Preston that night.
Yeah, that's right.
And the big man, I done him kippers at his low right-hand side that flew in the back of the net. But I remember when I went to Preston at the end of my career, the first thing Big Tepe said to me, he says, well, that was an unbelievable goal that you scored against me. I just thought, I thought he was going to pin me up against the wall. But no, there's so many, I had a chip against Nottingham Forest that I loved just because of the technique of it. Probably had it been a Dennis Bergkamp, it would get mentioned for time and time and time again, but because it was a wee sad jock, doesn't really get mentioned. So, but no, Ewood Park, I think I scored a lot of good goals away from Ewood Park, strangely enough.
Oh yeah, I think you just scored a lot of great goals, full stop. It was, you're always a pleasure to watch. So of course, today's 25 years since Rovers won the league. Unfortunately, you were obviously injured for a lot of that season, but you did help us to a vital 3 points against Crystal Palace. What are your memories from that incredible season? And Jay wanted me to ask, how does it feel to have a better goals per minute played average than Alan Shearer for that year?
It does, isn't it? Hey, unbelievable. 1-1, you can't beat it. 100% record. No, it was unbelievable. To be fair on the lads and that, if I just felt the way we were going, we had to better ourselves up front, and so I went away and broke my leg against Arsenal and forced the club to go out and buy Chris Sutton and start the SAS. And that was the start of a magnificent partnership. But for me, obviously, I look at my injury as it's been an unlucky moment, but one of those moments that kind of spurred everybody on. And it kind of Kenny then went out and, as I said, he spent $5 million in Chris Sutton. And we thought, wow, it's a lot of money to go. But we done the same when they bought Alan Shearer. So for me, I was like, wow, that was the carrot that I needed. I'm going to be back. I want to split the SAS up. But as they two continued the season, it wasn't just the two of them. Their goals done a lot, but a lot of defending, a lot of key players in there, a lot of players that unsung heroes, shall I say, that people looked at, like Mark Atkins for mine. For me, David Batty was brought in to actually do the job that he done, and David unfortunately was beside me in the sidelines for most of the season, and Mark had a magnificent season, but nobody really looks at that side of it and his progression. You had people at the back like Colin Hendry, goalkeeper like Tim Flowers, and guys right down the middle of the team with a great backbone, you know, and we look at it and you think we were built on the strength of that backbone, and it was. And people say, oh, was it Batty and things? We say, no, it was Sherwood. Sherwood was the key one in midfield. And I know Tim, he was his captain and things, but he was the one. He was the one that played most of the time. And then, as I said, you're looking for figureheads up front, score your goals, and that's what Shearer was all about. That's why Kenny went and bought him. That's why we were all built as jigsaw pieces to fill in for him. And basically, we done it. But we done it 2 years too early, pal. That was the problem.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just one of those things. Actually, speaking of Alan Shearer, you were actually signed to cover Alan Shearer at the time when he was out injured. Did you feel pressure as a result of the signing, or was it something that motivated you into kind of doing the very best that you could for the club?
And I never thought about it until later on. We got Alan, they'd signed Alan 3.3 million, and to be fair, I was at Coventry at the time. We'd been developed in the Premier League at the time and established where Blackburn had just been promoted. So you were kind of sweeping Blackburn under the table a little bit as a team. You kind of opened your eyes up when this guy, Jack Walker, had spent 3.3 million on Alan Shearer. So you kind of took a little bit of notice. And for me, because Kenny Dalglish was the manager there, it was always a big notice for me. So I followed Kenny ever since he played at Celtic all the way through his career. So for me to then end up speaking to Kenny and to go to Blackburn, it was never come and replace Alan because Alan's out injured. It was always come and we're building this dream, come and help us and be part of this squad that we're trying to develop to win or trying to be big again in English football. So to sell that for me was all Kenny had to do, and that was it really, because I remember the phone call, and when I hung up, I had to go and get the road atlas out because I didn't know where Blackburn was. And that was the biggest thing. You're thinking, where's Blackburn again? And I thought, it must be near where Kenny is in Liverpool, so it must be up there somewhere. And fortunately it was. It must be such a nice place because I still live in it 20 odd years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, so actually getting back to, we're talking about your broken leg, and I do remember watching as a kid and being really excited about you coming back from the broken leg. And then just through a hideous incident or the accident, obviously you ended up breaking the other leg for so like 2 broken legs. I just wondered, how does somebody not have their confidence affected by that, and how did you create kind of that strong mental attitude to get you through that and back onto the pitch?
Oh, well, I said, I had a carrot when I broke my leg, and Alan and sort of were magnificent. I just thought, I mean, no disrespect to Newley and other players that were in there, but I just thought I want to split them up because I believed that I was good enough to be there. I knew it was going to be very difficult, so I had a carrot. Fortunately for me, we had a great surgeon and a guy called John Hodgkinson, who for me was brilliant. Not only was a surgeon for me and put my leg back together, he basically saved my football career in that manner, but he acted as a psychologist as well. So initially he spoke to me on a kind of weekly basis, then it went to a 2 weekly basis, then it went to a monthly basis. So after about 5-6 months when I was playing again in reserves, he just kept saying to me, it'll be another 2 weeks, it'll be another 2 weeks, it'll be another 2 weeks. Now, and I was getting frustrated, don't get me wrong, but I was lucky because David Batty got injured at the same time. And then it was someone to share a gymnasium with. So I wasn't really on my own. So I had someone there that pushed me so I could push them. So that took the distraction away of what we were doing on the football pitch from my point of view. So we could help the lads with a bit of fun while we were still away from the lads, shall we say, in the gym. But for me, the surgeon, John Hodgkinson, basically made me so much... for me, I thought it was mentally tough anyway, until I broke my leg, and kind of a lot of loose wires come in your head. You think this could be hit, because I've seen people's careers being over with broken legs. And at that time, I always thought, no, I'm going to be back. I'll be back. It's 3 months, I'll be back. 6 months later, I'm not playing. I thought, God, but I just had my eldest daughter at the time. So that filled my time. I was building a house in Blackburn at the time. So I had a lot of distractions away to take things away. That side of it filled my head up with good thoughts. So for me, it was just the fact is that I'll get back playing. And when I started playing in the reserves, it was weird because I played at Wigan, and I mean, Wigan had big divots in it. It was horrible. You kicked the ball down the right wing, and if it hit this actual trench, it just ran down the trench. It would never go out the pitch. It was like little things like that. You were going back in time in football pitches. It was really weird, but it was, as I said, it made me mentally tougher because John Hodgkinson, David Batty gave me that extra drive to be a success again. Gave me the belief that I can come back. And I think by seeing David Batty push himself back to fitness, that's what I wanted to do. And we ended up doing it, and we sort of coming back together and got in and getting reserve games and then getting back into the first team. And then all of a sudden Bats gets into the team. Kenny doesn't think I'm quite ready yet. And then the good thing was Crystal Palace came along, and the bad thing was one of the top players of the season, Jason Wilcox, gets an injury. So Kenny then obviously believed that I was ready. I was going to be good enough to go and fill Jason's boots for the game, which I thought, well, it's an opportunity. And I went out, took it, scored a goal. Massively important night, one of the key turning points of the season as well. But to get a bad challenge again and end up in hospital wasn't the best thing that ever happened. But from that point of view, that's when you talk about mental toughness. That's when it kicked in, because I believed that I couldn't break my leg again, and I did. And I just picked myself up and believed that I'll be back quicker than normal. We've seen the X-ray, and the X-ray to me it was tiny. We all talk about a broken leg again. It was more like a little hairline fracture from the original break. And from that point of view, I just picked myself up, dusted myself down, and knew that it was the end of the season. Fingers crossed for the guys, just support them, try and be happy for them, which I was, and then basically get into pre-season training, which I did probably 75% of the time. And lo and behold, you get back in the next season, and that was it. It was brilliant for me. So from that point of view, mental toughness hadn't even started, because it wasn't until probably just when I was leaving Blackburn to go to Newcastle, when John Hodgkinson said to me it was the proudest moment ever when I was back playing for international setup, and he said I should never have played again.
Wow.
He said,
that's incredible. No, I mean, I think coming from a family with a lot of Scottish people on my father's side, I feel like that mental toughness comes with being Scottish as well, based on things I've seen from my own family. But so you mentioned Kenny Dalglish, obviously, pivotal in Rovers' Premiership winning campaign. Just wondering, in your entire career, is there a manager in particular that you would say was instrumental in shaping who you became as a player?
I'm from a football family, so I kind of was getting shaped by family first and foremost. But probably as a manager, Jim McLean at Dundee United was the one that's all the managers I've had. I was lucky because I played with some magnificent guys, managers and coaches, player managers, as in they manage the player, they don't just coach you. I was very lucky that way. I learned a lot from different people, but for me, I think the key was Jim McLean, Walter Smith at Dundee United. As a young kid growing up, getting that opportunity when you were probably about 5'6" and about 7.5, 8 stone, wet through. Today's game, you wouldn't even get a look in. They gave me an opportunity. They said if I was good enough, I'd play, and they were true to their word. Again, a little bit of luck with an injury to a key player, Ralph Millen, and I got an opportunity to sit on the bench in a European match. But then I got my full opportunity on the Saturday against Glasgow Rangers, and I went out against Glasgow Rangers and we beat them 1-0. And to do that on their home turf was massive, and to be part of that, I just never looked back. So from that young age, I think it was about 18, 19, from then on I never looked back of being out the first team. And it was then, ever since then, I'd always been involved at the highest level of football till the end of my career.
That's fantastic. That's very interesting to know. Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Speaking of that, did you ever have any desire to play for one of the big two clubs in Scotland, or was it just, you know, you always wanted to play in England in the Premier League, or how? Tell us a little bit about that.
My family background, Jay, basically my grandfather, Kevin Gallacher, played at Glasgow Celtic the early 1900s, and basically the way that I was brought up as a young kid, a 10, 11-year-old kid growing up, my path was to be at Celtic. That was everybody that I spoke to, my uncles. My pathway was following Grandad and going playing for Glasgow Celtic, having a great career for them, etc., etc. Anybody that knows me is, I've got a little bit of a sly side to me. I'm a little bit of a kind of rebellious side. When someone pushes me in a corner, I don't want to do it. And that's what happened. I went to, as you do as kids, you get asked to go on trials and do things. And my local team, Clydebank, the chairman asked me to go on trials. I was 13, and they asked me to go on trials with their under-16s. Now, these guys were like men, and I was like a little 10-year-old kid. And I thought, this is weird. They put me in against men. And I went on, I played 20 minutes, and I done really well against guys that were 3 years older. And before I got home, that chairman went and phoned my dad, because my dad knew him, and wanted me to sign for my hometown team. And I just thought, no, I want to leave my options open. Then I got the invite to go to Celtic and train, and I turned down that because I had a schools quarter, I think it was schools Scottish Cup quarter-finals. So I had to turn that down. So then I got a second letter through from Celtic. They invited me to go and meet the manager, Billy McNeil, at the time. So we went, okay. So I went with Dad, my Uncle Tom, who used to play at Dundee, and I went with him. And we went along and basically sat down with Billy McNeil, the whole Celtic board, the whole parade, and that's where I was going. Love it, love the cattail there. And basically sat down, and everything was going. I was going to Glasgow Celtic, there was no doubt about it. And then Billy McNeil turns around to me and said to me, the only thing I'm a little bit scared of is you're a little bit small, a little bit frail. We need to get you on the Guinness. Now, to a 13-year-old kid at Glasgow, I'd already started the Guinness. So it was disappointing. So for me, no, I just thought that's not the right thing to say to a kid. So I took the option of going and speaking to the Dundee United manager, Jim McLean. And basically Jim McLean just turned around, and very nice, very honest man at the time. And I wish I'd known what it was like, and I probably wouldn't have went there, but it was the best part of growing up. And he sold the club to me. My size, my weight, nothing mattered until I was 16, because I was a centre midfielder as a kid. I was, what I try and tell the kids that I teach, I was Frank Lampard as my junior school and my junior boys clubs. That's who I was. I wasn't quite a midfielder. I wasn't quite a centre forward, but I was that guy in the middle who dictated everything and scored all the goals. And ended up with Dundee United, and I signed for them to the disbelief of Celtic. And for the next 10, 15 years, I probably was approached by Celtic at least once a year to go and sign for them. And I didn't want to do it. I became famous in Scotland at Dundee United, successful as a young kid, and fell out with the manager and decided it was time to leave. And the only place I wanted to leave was to go to Celtic. I was going to go to them now. I was ready to go to Celtic. I'd grown up, maybe not physically, but mentally I felt I was ready to go and play for Celtic. But the manager I knew wasn't going to sell me to them. I had to come down south, and basically he said that Coventry City have come in for you. And that was it. And to me, when I look back on it, it wasn't one of the most desired clubs that possibly I would have probably picked in the top of my head. But I just wanted out of Dundee United, and I went down to Coventry. And the big thing about that was when I came down to England, nobody knew me. And I thought, wow, so it is small. So there was my challenge. So I didn't have to go back to Celtic. I had a carrot. I wanted to be Kevin Gallacher. I want to make people know who I am here in England. And there's not many of us or many of us Scottish lads, I should say, have had a successful career without having to play for Celtic or Rangers. And I'm one of the few.
Well, I'm happy that you were the rebel that went away from that, because if you'd chosen Celtic originally, maybe you'd never ended up at Rovers, and maybe we wouldn't have that background behind you right now. But I wanted to ask you about the 1997-1998 season, where you had a great partnership with Chris Sutton. So did you enjoy playing with Chris, and do you have a favourite partner that you would pick out of everyone that you've ever played with in your entire career?
I love playing with everybody. The question was, like, I remember Sutty asking me, he says, how come you're doing so well partnering me? How can you read my game? And I just went, I don't know. For some reason, I just don't know. I could do it I'd done it with Alan. I'd done it with Mitchell Patterline at Dundee United. And we had a great partnership, and it was my highest goal scoring year with him in Scotland, with Mitchell Patterline. And so I always thought that I tend to play better with a stronger physical guy up front. And I'd done it with Alan, and we'd done well. I'd done it with Sutty, and Sutty would. I mean, people talk about the goals that Shearer and Sutton scored. The goals that Gallacher and Sutton scored together, it boosted Sutty up. I think Sutty scored about 6 or 7 goals more with me than he did with Alan. I didn't score as many with Alan. I was up beside Sutty. So that partnership was good. It was just, we knew that we couldn't rely on me and Sutty to get a goal every game. That was the only thing. We could with Alan. That's the thing. We had a guy in Alan Shearer who we knew every game he could score a goal. Everybody created it. But with us, we would always miss that. Probably that one little key chance. And we knew that. But that's why we weren't as top drawer as what Shearer was. We were just next door chatting on it.
Yeah. Jay, did you want to ask the next question? I just saw you're on mute, actually. I think, G, yeah, there you go.
So in the 1998-1999 season, you were the top scorer with 5 goals, despite being injured for most of the season. Do you think we would have stayed up that year had you been able to feature more?
I think so. I think with a few injuries to a few players, I think there was a few fallouts as well. And I think had all that, it's all been sort of in the boiling pot. It was something that was just bubbling up and bubbling away and away. And I think under Roy, I mean, his first year he came in, we were trying to buy into a new regime. That season, the second season, was quite difficult. He brought in players and they wanted to play them. The players that were playing alongside them didn't think they were good enough compared to the players that weren't in the team. So there was a lot of mismatch and talk, and players were getting injured. And when you're not happy, and we class ourselves as racehorses, you get injured a lot more. And I think when you're not happy, and I think that's what happened to a lot of players, they kind of were thinking, well, I'm going to be leaving, because that's the initial thought. You're not playing, you've been in the team for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you're not in it. And then these guys come in. So instead of looking on it in the bright side and saying, well, look, these guys aren't going to take my place, I think a lot of guys just kind of switched off a little bit. And it caused problems for us. And we were trying to play. And the downhearting thing for me is the way, you know, when Roy gets sacked and the new manager came in, Brian Kidd, you know, I came into the team and 50%, 60% fit, trying to do a job for the team and try what I can do, and people don't appreciate you, then I understand why people fall out in the football world. And that's what happened with me at the end of it. I went from when Tony Parks was a caretaker manager and decided to give me the captain's armband, and unfortunately against Forest to score a goal, miss a penalty and I pull a hamstring at the same time. So it was 3 things happen at once. After that, Brian Kidd decided that I wasn't even first choice striker. So to drop from first to 5th choice striker in a league below, I wasn't wearing it, and I just never seen eye to eye with him. And I would have stayed at Blackburn. John Williams knew I wanted to stay at Blackburn, whether we're in the league below or not. I was settled in the area. I was at an age where if I was going to move, it didn't look like I'd probably go sideways or probably down the way, but it didn't. A massive move for me materialised and going to Newcastle. And I really couldn't say no to Sir Bobby Robson. You know, I told him I wasn't moving house in the hope that he might turn around and say, well, we're not signing you, but he didn't. He said, I want you to sign. He said, don't move house, live in Blackburn and come up. And we'll see how it goes. And that's what I did. And I did it for 2 years at Newcastle and done well.
That's quite a shout, the fact that you were Bobby Robson's first signing at Newcastle United, I believe.
It was massive. I'll tell you, it was absolutely massive for me. Just because, you know, it's when you fall out with a club and a club that you've kind of had, 7, 8 years at, and enjoying the time, you've built houses there, you live in the area, your children grew up there, you get to know the people there, you know the club inside out, and then this one manager comes in and decides that you are out. It's quite difficult to take, especially when you've still got a lot to offer the football club. So for me, that was the hardest thing. But to go to Newcastle, again, to get away from Brian Kidd, for me, was just jumping ship, and that's what I did. I didn't even look to see that Newcastle was sitting, I think it was third bottom in the league, and think, wow, we're getting a battle on our hands. But when I went there, it was a different job that I had. It wasn't just to go as a football player. I was actually there to help out, basically see where the deadweed at Newcastle was, because we had a lot of top quality players who names on paper were brilliant, but on a pitch in a dressing room were destroying a club inside.
Yeah. Was there, when the Newcastle transfer came about, was there a number of clubs you were looking at, and Newcastle were just kind of the best, they gave you the best offer, or was it Newcastle somewhere you really wanted to go regardless?
No, I wasn't going. Stephen, I'll tell you. Yeah, I was staying at Blackburn. I'll tell you the story. We played Walsall at Ewood Park, and played Walsall, and I can't actually remember the result, but I done everything that game apart from score a goal. It's probably one of the best games I've had for a long time, and I know it was a lower division, but I done everything well. I proved my fitness to Brian Kidd, because he kept telling me I wasn't proving my fitness, and I just couldn't believe it. And the only thing I didn't do against Walsall was score the goal, and I was absolutely knackered. I gave everything that game, and I went into the shower. I was last in the shower, and I was in a moan, and Brian Kidd came in, and he turned round to me. And he said to me, Kevin, I've been speaking to the boss, which was Jack Walker, and we're thinking about extending your contract, because my contract was going up the end of next season. And I said, brilliant, that's fantastic news. Thanks very much. Finished in the shower, went out, went home, spoke to the missus. She says, oh, by the way, Brian Kidd's been speaking to Jack. I don't believe it. And she went, why don't you believe him? I says, I just never got the feeling that he meant it. But about 4 or 5 days later, I was at Newcastle.
Wow.
He did get me the new contract. It just wasn't at Blackburn. So there was no other club involved. There was no 5 or 6 clubs there chapping at the door wanting me. It was just the fact is it was Newcastle, and that was it. Boom, I went, and it was straight away. I can't even remember if I took my boots or anything up with me. I just left. I know one thing, which a biggest regret about leaving Blackburn, I never went to say goodbye to everybody. That was the worst of it, because I just upped and left. And that was it. So for me, that was a disappointing thing.
Yeah, no, I bet. So focusing on the future of Blackburn a little bit now, I think Jay has a question in regards to that. Oh, you're on mute, Jay. That's Zoom for you.
Cool. So where do you see Rovers being in 5 years, providing that things return to normal, globally?
I think personally, if you turn back the clock before this pandemic happened around the world in the way it was, I think Tony Mowbray's been doing a magnificent job, first and foremost. I think he's been doing absolutely fantastic with a budget that's basically minimal. 1 or 2 of his buys we've spent, and we're still question marks, but it's youth and it's the future, and you're hoping these guys can progress. For me, watching them on a daily basis and seeing what we've got, at the moment, I would say we're probably a 10th place in the championship team. That's, for me, in my opinion, that's an area. But when we punch above our weight, we could maybe sneak into the playoffs. But we need to punch, and we need to have our better players playing on a regular basis. You know, and we lost Bradley Dack, and I must admit, I thought, wow, we're going to lose a lot of goals here. But Adam Armstrong took to the plate and done the business. And for me, I would say with Adam doing that, we haven't really missed Dacky. But when Dacky's back in this little break, hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll get himself fit, and when he comes back into the team again, we'll get that boost like it's a new player again. And hopefully, again, we'll push forward. And if we can, if the season gets finished or we need to restart the new season, then the owners can help Tony with a few pennies to try and get some other players in to strengthen it a little bit. I think we need probably about 6 players if we're going to really, really get into a chance of going into the Premier League.
Do you think that the team kind of needed to learn how to play without Dak as well? Like I felt that Adam Armstrong and a couple of these other players, for their growth in their games, I felt that they really did that when we weren't just running everything through Dak, you know, like we had been before he got injured.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's like anything. It's when people try to stop us because we played through Shearer. You're your main man. You're going to do it. But we had so many good players in different positions that we could create things. At the moment, we don't actually have that. That's the hardest thing, you know. We've got good players there that can do things. And I think Blackburn are going back to the old team spirit. We need 11 players playing for each other. And I think Tony, when he was playing Dacky and he played him out of position and play him on the left and things like that, and it wasn't quite working. For me, you look at Adam Armstrong and I can see why managers get frustrated. He's a young lad, but for me, he is a centre forward. That's where he's better. He's better getting the ball half turned and going, having a go. But we play him wide in this system to sacrifice him to do a job. And we always thought, if we lose Dak and we lose 20 goals, who's going to fill it? Now, you just push in Armstrong into Dackie's position and there's a ready-made replacement. He gone and scored the goals. I just think the start of this season, had we started with Dak and Graham up front, personally, we would be better than where we are at the moment. When you take your 2 strikers or your 2 people out, it was 36 goals or something they scored last year. And you take that out the team at the start of the season. I know you brought in Sam Gallacher and you're trying to give people the chances. For me, really, if you'd have started with those 2, that is a massive threat. And if they do start the season on fire, wow, I think we'd have probably had about 10 points better off than what we're sitting on at the moment on the table.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Was there, out of the current squad, if you had to pick one player that you would have liked to have played with, is there anyone that stands out for you?
Played with? If I went through the teams that I probably played in, I don't know. I don't know if anybody would probably get into the teams at the moment. And that's not been disregarding to them. I mean, I fortunately played with a lot of good players. Even if I take the Blackburn team I played in, and who could I play with? Danny Graham. I could play with Danny Graham up front, I think. I could score Dackie's goals, probably at my age just now. With Danny Graham. You know, try to think now. I mean, to be fair, I like the boy Lewis Travis. I think he's come on leaps and bounds when I first seen him. Dara Lenihan. When Dara first came into the team as a midfielder, myself and Andy Bays with the BBC Radio Lancashire, we were doing the commentary, and we got this young kid, Dara Lenihan's playing. I went, he's going to be a centre half one day, and he's looking at me, nah. And we've got this argument on radio. No, he's centre midfield, centre mid. I said, no, he'll be centre half one day. And to be fair, where's he playing? Centre half.
Yeah.
And you just like a little bit of luck that I seen that in that player or what. But yes, there's still a big bit that Dara's got to learn. But I'll tell you what, one kid I seen grow up that I thought was brilliant was David Raya. I've seen him mature. His distribution was brilliant, but he was having ropey time. And no disrespect to Christian, I think Christian now is coming into his game, but I thought David Ray's got better distribution, better start of the game, and probably the way it was. But his presence probably needed a little bit more to build on, and I think that's probably why Tony sold him. And everybody's scratching their head. £3 million for a goalkeeper. It was homegrown, but that £3 million, whether it goes back into the academy for other players to come up through, would be very, very interesting.
That's true.
But I could go through. There's loads of guys there, that you'd like to say that you could probably help with you. You want to give them a little bit of your opinion and listen. People give him Ari Bellstick, Ryan Nyambe. Ryan Nyambe, I've seen Ryan Nyambe, a 15-year-old kid. He hasn't changed, and he's playing in the first team.
Yeah.
For me, I harp on about it, and I think he's a brilliant player, but he's got no end product. And for me, if coaches are coaches and they're worth their salt, they work on these weaknesses. Now, Ryan's only just starting to work. 2 years old. He should have been working on it the last 5 years. But he's only learning about it now, and hopefully now they've got people in there that can see these things that are little weaknesses in players and try and do it. Because, I watched Ryan the last couple of games, and some of these crosses he were getting in, he was just crossing them into spaces, and I thought, brilliant. And people go, but he's not crossing. He says, no, but he's getting a cross in. That's the key thing. And it's Stuart Rick will tell you, Jason Wilcox will tell you. I can tell you, it's not always about crossing onto someone's foot or head. It's about putting it into the space that they can run onto. It's about educating each other and helping each other. Alan Shearer used to come in and give us absolute dog's abuse if we went on the end of one of his crosses. And yet we've got a young Ryan Nyambe running past everybody for fun and then stopping and waiting for help. And you're like, cross it.
Yeah.
And then you blame the strikers. And that's what he has to learn. And it's just passing on knowledge to these guys. And just people would love to do it, but other people are in the job.
Yeah, that's true.
So I have to ask a question about somebody that I've seen in training recently. Harley the Golden Bear. How's Harley doing?
Harley's doing really well at the minute. His teeth are getting sharper, shall I say, for a little one. No, he's coming on leaps and bounds. Every day we notice a massive difference in him. It's really, this is my third golden retriever. And having lost my last one, that dog, the Baxter, was the best thing that ever happened. He had every package you could look for within a dog. He had it. Now, Harley's got a lot to live up to now, but he's showing big signs of it, and we're only into day 3, I think, now. So he's just had injections today. We had him at the vet, and hopefully in, I think it's about 10 days, he gets allowed to go out and meet people and meet dogs. So there'll be a lot of walking on the horizon quite soon. And I believe at the minute my wife has been on the shopping looking for these rucksacks that you carry your dog in. Now, we got him weighed today, and I think he's £7.9 or something. And I'm thinking, it's going to be, I need to start doing quad exercises and leg exercises. A lot of heavy walking soon.
Awesome. Well, I know we both follow on Instagram, right, Jay?
Yeah. So if anybody Instagram, Harley _ the Golden Bear, you got pictures of Kevin putting him through his paces out there on the pitch. It's great.
It's an early start. Just introducing him to football and having a little bit of just strengthening his legs up. Really, he's just a bundle of energy, and you're thinking of things. And of course, I'm doing my stuff in my soccer school, so I'm doing stuff in my garden, and all the stuff's lying there. So I just try and take his attention away from chewing it all up. It's just go about with him and do things with him, and you just do silly things. So it's one of those things. He's got his own Instagram account. He's getting more famous than what I am. So he's getting big. So I need to keep him grounded a little bit. So we'll keep him down there.
So, Kevin, with that in mind, once again, we very much appreciate you coming on to this. This has been fantastic. Is there anything that you would like to promote whilst you're here?
Promote? I could promote everything. No, what am I doing at the minute? I'm sitting in the house. I'm working on videos for my G8 soccer school, my 1-to-1s. I've been doing that, and then you can tune in. I think BBC Radio Lancashire are actually trying to get things online for games and that, and that's the future, I think, going along. You can listen to it in New York, and you can get sort of better coverage with us, and you'll listen to my dulcet tones, and you'll get a good night's sleep. So from that, but no, you can always push things. So maybe one time I'll get over, and I'll see you guys over there, and it'd be nice to meet you all.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic.
That would be great. Anytime.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, boys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. You have a good night.
And you guys, take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.